I'm going to give you a full tutorial on how to use SellerAmp. Last year, we did over 383,000 in sales, and today I want to talk you through exactly how we set up SellerAmp, but also my step-by-step process on how we analyze deals faster to help you make more money on Amazon. Now, the first thing I want to do after you get the product installed, and I'm not going to go through how to do that, is actually how to get it set up and put the right settings in. So what you want to do is come down into SellerAmp once it's installed, and you want to click on this little cog icon right here. Now, once you click on that cog icon, it's going to load into the settings, and we want to make sure that you've got this set up correctly before we start doing anything else. Now, there are a few key variables you need to put into the SellerAmp settings to make sure it's right, to ensure that you're getting true profits, not inflated profits. So let's show you what they are right now. So as you come down, obviously you want to make sure your home marketplace is set to where you're selling. So for me, Amazon USA. In inbound shipping, I would recommend putting in something about 50 cents. Now, why? It could be anywhere between 0.3 and maybe 0.6, but 50 cents is probably a good starting point. And you can check that later on. Now, inbound placements, recommended Amazon optimized splits. Unless you have changed the settings on Amazon Seller Central, generally Amazon optimized splits. Now, when we come down, obviously you want to choose FBA, that's the fulfillment type you're doing. And unless you're selling in Europe, you won't need to worry about European fulfillment network. But if you know about that, do it. If you don't worry about it. Now, VAT, again, is only useful for Europe. So just generally leave that as not applicable. And if you are a European seller, unless you have physically gone through the process of registering for VAT, and you'll know that because it's actually really hard, then just leave it as either not applicable for the US or not registered for EU sellers in the UK and Europe. Now, when we come down, what I generally like to put in here is BSR 2%, 3% or $3 minimum profit, and minimum ROI 25%, because this is just going to change the colors on SellerAmp when you hit those metrics. And you'll see later on, we'll talk you through that. And it's just going to help you identify good products. Now, the final one we put in here is prep fee. Now, in the US, generally prep fees are going to be about $1 per unit. And so I'd recommend putting $1 in there. If you've got a lower rate, you can put that in. If you self-prep, I still recommend putting $1 because, hey, you don't work for free. And that dollar that you're charging right now for the products is just going to be free profit for you. And then pretty much outside of that, I'd leave everything as is. So now I'd leave everything pretty much as it's got here. And the other one I do like to do is show profit margins. If you've got that turned off, turn it on. Because one top tip I'll share with you is you'll find really good ROI products at low values, but they just don't make much cash profits. Whereas margins can be quite helpful. We'll talk about that later on. So that's pretty much it. Setup all done. And once you just change those, they'll save automatically. Now, the final part I want to talk about on setup is actually the SaaS panels. And let's click on them here. So what I've got is in this order, and you can change them around by just moving these icons, not a problem. Now, Seller Toolkit is a tool that we use, and if you've got it, set it up. If you don't worry about it. But today I won't talk too much about it. But generally, I have it in this order: quick info, alerts, Google Sheets, and I'll talk about how to set up Google Sheets later on. Notes and tags, lookup details, offers, charts, ranks and pricing, profit calculator, buy box analysis, variation, and discounts. Now, there are many other panels that you can have, but we generally don't use them. And I'll talk through all the panels that I've got turned on in a minute so you can understand why we use them and how they actually work. Now, there's some other settings here, so like Seller Central, which is useful, and then obviously RB Source and Be Cool. If you've got those tools as well, you can connect to them as well. But they are basically the order that we have it, and I'll talk you through everything in this video right now. Later on in the video, in the advanced section, I will talk you through how to actually set up the Google export to Google Sheets. But right now, it's probably going to be a little bit too much detail, and you probably just want to jump straight into SellerAmp and understand how to use it. And we could, once we've found profitable deals, we can then talk about how to export them or save them to Google Sheets so you can go and buy them later on. Before we jump into actually reviewing the panels, I just want you guys to know that you can actually get 50% off SellerAmp in your first month if you use my code, which is FastTrackSAS. Check out the description down below where I put all the details, and obviously get a link and that coupon code that will get you the discount. You can see here we've got £10.98 off, obviously if you're in the UK. Okay, so I've just loaded up a product right now, and we're going to walk you through all the panels within SellerAmp and actually show you what they all mean and try and help you to understand how to use this tool effectively. So first things first, we've got this kind of top panel up here, and it talks about just above this, actually, the product itself. There's lots of these buttons, so you can like jump to quick information, you can jump to alerts, and you can jump to Google Sheets. And what does this mean? If you click on any of them, what it's going to do is jump you down to that section of the actual tool, which can be super useful for going really fast through. So do remember those. It can help you jump to the right section when you want. Now, also as well, we have a picture of the product here. So this is kind of the product information. So it'll tell you the picture of the product. It'll give you the name, which is taken from the page. Also the brand and the category. It'll give you the star rating, the number of reviews, the ASIN and the UPC. And obviously you can copy them if you want as well. Now, top tip for you, if you are doing sourcing, what you can do is obviously look at the dimensions here. So when you're trying to get an idea of how big the product is, it shows you the size and the weight, but also as well, it tells you a bit about the description. And then also as well, you can open it in the Amazon product page or even in Google. So for example, if you want to search it, voila, we can search. Right now I'm in Mexico, so you obviously see I get Mexican pesos. And then also as well, you can show it in the web. Now, below that, what we've got set up right now is the quick information. And we always use this quick information because it's so helpful for us to get a very quick understanding of what's going on. So just here, you can see some quick information about this product. And I have actually just logged into one of our accounts. It's one that we don't normally use. And what you can see to start off with, are we eligible to sell? So it says the word no. So we're not eligible to sell this product. And it checks that automatically for you, which is super useful because obviously if you can't sell a product, you don't actually want to be going and buying and selling it. Then also you have alerts. So it tells you if it's like hazmat or dangerous goods. What you're really looking for here is it green or is it red? If it's red, obviously it's not a good thing. If it's green, it means, yeah, everything's good. You can go forward. If it's yellow, you got to check it. So really, we just want to see what's going on. But right now it's saying it's not hazmat, it's not dangerous. Amazon's not been on the buy box. It's just really trying to help you to understand if this is a good product that you should be reselling or not. Then on top of that, we have BSR, which is bestseller rank. And a lot of people used to talk about this, but right now you don't really need to. There's some other ways to look at kind of like how well the product's selling. And I'll talk you through that as we go through this tutorial. And then you've got estimated sales per month, which is a really good indication of how well it sells. And Seller Amp is going to get that from the Amazon listing and of the historical sales. But again, it is an estimation. It's never guaranteed. We have max cost, which tells you the maximum price of this product, which we'll use later on. And then also, so we've got two boxes here. So we've got the cost price, how much it costs us to buy the product. So if we're looking right now in Walmart, we could buy this product for $20. We would put $20 in there. And then we have sale price right here, which is the price it's being sold at, which usually is just going to be the price taken from the product right now on Amazon. And then on top of that, we have profit. So if we buy it for 20 and sell it for 67.83, how much profit are we going to generate after all fees? And this is going to be Amazon selling fees. Also remember those prep fees and the shipping fees that we put in the settings earlier on. That's going to tell you how much money you get to take home, which is great. And then we have what's known as profit margin, and then also ROI, and then the break-even price. So the break-even price helps you to understand that what's the lowest price this product can sell for you not to make any money, but to basically just get it sold without making any profit. So if we sold this for $31.77, i.e. that price right there was $31.77, that means I could sell the product and I'm not going to lose anything, but I'm not going to make any money. And that comes in very useful later on. And then also, so I'll talk you through offers, which is quite useful, just get an understanding of how many other sellers are on the listing. And then we have the alert section. So we can see here, eligibility restricted. So what we can do is click manual ungate. And I love this because it's just going to help you to try and get sales. It says we're not accepting applications to sell other brand Lego. So right now that's going to be a no for us to sell. But a lot of time you can just click on that and go straight through to selling. Now, the one thing I will say is if you see eligibility restricted like that, you can't sell, you basically don't want to be buying this product. Why? Because you can't actually sell it on Amazon. And that's a really important point. When we talk about the whole getting ungated, you're going to hear this terminology a lot. This is a really important point. It really means getting that restricted, turning into a yes, you can sell. So just be mindful of that. You want to make sure that says yes. Then we've got hazmat. So hazardous means if it's not hazardous, you can ship it into Amazon under FBA. And there are some ways you can get around that, but generally, if it's hazardous, you can't ship it into Amazon for FBA. Then we've got dangerous goods. Amazon share the buy box. And again, you can see all these are pretty much green. If it's green, it's a good thing. If it's not green, it's a problem. You might want to look into it more. So you're generally looking for green, 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 green. And then we have export to Google Sheets, and I'll show you how to set that up later on. But this is basically if you want to save a deal right now. For example, if we find this product and we're like, look, I could buy it for 20, sell it for 67, I can quite simply click one of these and it will just export all the details of this product as I want it to a Google Sheet, which is amazing to save profitable products that we want to later go on and buy. Then we can also add notes. So if there's maybe something we want to save, could be a discount code. It could just be like, hey, this is going to be a great product for Q4. We can add that note in there. Then we've got lookup details. So if you are interested in seeing where you've looked this up before or what times you've looked at it before, you can come here. But also as well, when you save deals right here, you also want to save the supplier, for example, Walmart. So you can put the Walmart URL in there and click save. And so what you can do is just go back in time and have a look at all the times that you've actually put in previous suppliers. So if you found profitable suppliers in the past, like Walmart, Target, for example, you're going to see it if you save them in there. So that's going to be very useful to just checking other suppliers that have been profitable in the past. So really useful to save that. Then on top of that, we have offers. Now, offers is a great tool or great feature. This basically tells you all the sellers on the listing. So obviously right now, if we come over to listing, you can see Phantom Toys is the seller, and you can see it's highlighted in bold. So this is Phantom Toys right here. So it's showing you that information at 67.83, 67.83. And it's basically saying this guy's got 1 unit in stock right now, and he's an FBM seller. So you can see here, ships from Amazon FBM. Now his price is 67.83. And if we were to sell at this price, knowing that we buy at 20, we're going to be making $30.66 profit and 153% ROI, which is great. And the reason why this is so useful is because you can see all the other sellers. You can hover over them, see who they are, their reviews. Also as well, you can see what type of seller they are. You can see their stock levels, what price they're selling for. And if you were to sell at that price, how much profit would you generate and what would your ROI be? Now, again, if you want to see this in more detail on Amazon, you can actually just click here and actually see all the sellers. So again, like you can see if I open this up, you've got Phantom Toys, and then right now we've got new. This is AK Services. I think if I hover over that one, there you go, A&K Services LLC, and you can see that they're showing up here. And also it's just showing up very easy to read right here, which is much, much easier. Now, top tip on here, just on the actual stock situation, if you hover over the stock, you'll see it says 9. And then if I hover over this 1, it'll say cumulative 10. And then if I hover down here, it'll say cumulative 11. What it's doing is just adding up all that stock, which can be really useful because you just know how much stock there is ahead of you. If maybe you want to come in and sell at this level, this price, you recognize there's 20 units. And obviously, if it's selling 50 units per month, you can probably say that's going to sell in 2 weeks, for example. You can do the math in your head. Or if you want, you can actually just turn off all the FBM offers and just show only the FBA. So really, really useful right there. And if you want to expand and see more, you can click the expand. And obviously, that's just going to show you more and more offers. You can keep doing that. So we can have a look down here and have a quick look. And we can see on the listing right now, so right now, there are all the sellers, their total stock is 174 units of stock. So it kind of gives you a really good idea of just how much stock is on the listing. And this can be very useful later on when you get more advanced. Now, the next section we're going to talk about is the charts. Now, charts are really, really useful. They basically tell you a lot of information. And at the end of this video, I will share a video with you around actually how to do what's known as keeper analysis. And these are basically exactly the same as keeper analysis. So if you want to understand these charts in more information, more detail, then do check out that video at the end. But you've really got 3 charts you can see. Sometimes you might not see the middle chart, but you've got 3 charts. And it's going to show you the pink line, which is called the buy box. What's the price been right here over time? Number 2, you've got the kind of FBN, so FBM sellers, the price on there. And then also as well, number 3, you've got this green line, which is called sales rank. So that sales rank, how that's changed over time. And I'll show you some really good examples of why you want to know about that later on in this video. Now, the next one is going to be this kind of monthly sold. And you're going to see this orange line or yellow line. And this is really telling you how many units per month this product is selling. So for example, if it's selling 50 per month, you're going to see that right here. And it's a really good way to see if a product is selling well and how consistently it's always selling 50 per month. For example, here is another product. And if we look at this monthly sold, you can see it sold 400, 400, 700, 600, and 1,000, and then jumped to 2,000. So not only can we see how many it's selling right now, we can see how many it's sold on average over time, which is useful to get an idea of how that changes, which we'll talk about later. Also as well, down the bottom here, you've got one known as offer count, and it also shows you ratings and reviews. Generally don't look at that, but I am very interested in this blue line called offer count. And what you can probably recognize straight away is that the offer count started quite low with 17, 18 sellers, and now we're up to like 36. So generally, when we're seeing an increase in offer count, basically means more competition. Generally, the price generally goes down. Remember that one, but you'll learn that often in the keeper training. Now, this is a great tool, and what you can do is just turn it into 1 day, 1 week, 1 month, 3 months, 1 year, all time, to get a really good understanding of what's gone on over a bigger time frame. So really, really useful. Or if you want, you can actually just load it up into a big screen and see a lot more detail if you want to go into that. But most of the time, you can do that analysis just in the sidebar. Now, on top of this, we've got ranks and prices, and this is really useful. Why? Because it tells you basically all the information you can see right now. Now, you might not worry about that, but the one thing you do want to understand is that it's actually quite useful to understand what's gone on over the last 30, 90, 180, all time. Why? Because right now you can see the buy box is 67.83. That's what the price is there. Now, if we look at this chart, and if I come back to, let's go back over the last 3 months, for example, what you might recognize is this pink line started off about 72, we've got 74.50, but right now it's down to 67.43. So what we have seen, this price is now a low price than what it's been in the past. So what you can do is click on average 90-day and see what the price has been over the last 90-day average. As that buy box price changes over time, by using this feature, by looking at 90 days, gives you a good understanding of what's the average been, not what it is today, whether it's really high or really low. That's super important. And again, you can see all the other information, which is very helpful. Then also as well, you have a profit calculator, which is basically going to take the same information that we put up here in the quick info, but it'll give you a lot more information around that. So if you look here, we've got like total fees. If you want to understand your fees and your costs, you can see it here. So if we were to buy it for 20, sell it for 67.83, you can see our profits. You can also see ROI, and then also you can see how much we're paying in Amazon referral fees, that prep fee we talked about, the shipping cost in there as well, and any other fees that we need to know about. Just be aware, but obviously that's going to break it down for you. Now, we don't really look at that too much, but it's very useful if you just want to understand the fee structure a little bit better. Now, on top of that, you've got quantity, so you can be like, hey, I'm going to buy 10. How much am I going to make? And then obviously that'd be 10 times the profits. So you're like, well, hey, it costs 200 to sell for that. I'm going to make $300 profit. Fantastic. Most of the time, I'd never do that. I'm just going to look on this single unit, and obviously, I know I'm going to be selling more. Now, the other one we look here is called the buy box analysis. Now, this is really useful, and I'll talk about it in more detail, but it kind of just gives you a share. So over a certain period, so 30 days, 90 days, 180, it gives you a very good idea of how that buy box has been shared. Why? Because what you might find is there will be certain listings, and we'll talk about them later on, so certain products that just, they have no sharing. One seller dominates them all the time. And if you don't recognize that and you buy that product, it's very likely you're not going to be making sales. But if you find products like this, where there's lots of variety in the sellers, it's very likely you'll get sales as well. So just be mindful of that. And then also as well, it actually gives you a bit more of a breakdown of who the sellers are, their name, their number of reviews, what their price, how often they won, and what their stock is. And we'll actually use this to help you find more profitable products later on. So stay tuned for that bit. Now, the next bit we can look at is just discounts. So if you recognize you've got a discount, you can come in and put them in and apply them, which is so useful. And then the final bit is Seller Central. So if you want to quick link to this product on Seller Central, for example, you want to add it in as a product into your inventory, you want to see your inventory right now or the orders of those products in Seller Central, you can literally just click that button and it will load into Seller Central that product. So shortcut makes it a lot easier. Now, the other thing I'll say is that you do have these kind of floating windows down the bottom here. So right now I have it always docked to the left, but you can also click on it and change it dock to the right. You can kind of put it at the top if you want, kind of here if you want, or you can kind of have it kind of embedded. Now, for me, I just find there's too much information to make it that small, so I kind of just put it dock to the right, which is so useful. Now, a final thing I will add is I've loaded it onto Amazon Seller Central, but what you can do is load it in a supplier page. So, for example, select the text and click right mouse click, Seller AMP Search. And what it will do is just load that exact same function or that exact same window, but onto while you're in a seller page. And so, for example, here, you can actually see this product and say, that's the product we want, and load into it. And again, you're going to see all that same information again for the Amazon listing, and you can do the calculations if you want to. So useful. Now, before I jump into actually how to use the tool in more detail and actually the 3 ways that we do profit calculations and actually can help you find more deals, I just want to take a moment out to talk about how we can help you scale your business. Now, if you're looking to scale your business over the coming weeks and months and you want help with that, there are a couple of ways that you can do this. Number one, you can get one-to-one support with me, and I can support you in growing your business. And if you're interested, have a look at the coaching call in the link down below. Number two is going to be my community that you can access right now called the Amazon FBA Strategy War Room. And in here, we've got a community of like-minded Amazon sellers from all across the world who are selling on Amazon. We do weekly live calls, live support, and also as well, you can watch all the previous training videos and everything else you need. Now, if you are struggling to get selling on Amazon or even starting to scale, have a look at some of our successes. For example, you've got here, Dan, his win that he had was learning how to read keeper charts. And you can actually see that he has started making his first sales, which is fantastic. On top of that, Faisal has started selling on the Canadian marketplace and he's made his first $1,403 in sales, which is absolutely incredible. And then finally, Attila, who's already been selling for a long period of time, we supported him getting his repricer set up. And actually, you can see his stats have improved significantly, which means he makes more profit now by using the right settings in his business. And then finally, number three, if you are looking to simply get the best suppliers, which we have seen over the last year, then you can look at the suppliers that we've used in the UK and in the USA in our business and our lead service by getting a free copy of that in the description in the link down below. Okay, so let's talk about how we calculate actual profitability using SellerAmp. And there are a couple of ways to look at this, and each one's slightly different. And I want to share them with you to help you understand why, because it means you can actually find more deals to make you more profit. So let's kind of go through. So we're coming back here onto our Lego product. And what do I want to show you? Well, when you first come in, you're obviously going to put in your cost price and your sale price. Now, most people are going to do this when they first start, and it's okay, but it's a bit slow and you can be a bit better. This is the normal way that most people do. They're going to buy it for 20, sell it for 67, 49, and obviously look at the profit, the ROI or margin and the profit. That's going to be super helpful. Now, one thing you can do, actually, if you want to be quicker, is instead of putting in the 20, because that takes time and we're just lazy, is have a quick look at the max cost. The max cost is basically telling you that if your product is at the max cost or above, then you're not going to be profitable. So for example, if I'm looking at a supplier right now, and obviously we've seen one, for example, if this was the product, $59.99, that is above the max cost. So for example, if I saw this product right now for $50, and I put that in there, you're going to see we're not profitable. But I didn't need to do that. I was just wasting my time because I know that $50 is more than $40.29. But if I put $40.29 in here, what you are going to recognize is I'll get profit of $10 and I'll hit that ROI figure. Remember that we've written the settings earlier on of 25%. So this all goes green. But if I put 40.30 in there, you now recognize that the ROI goes red, which means we're below that 25% ROI number. And so what I can do is just use this max cost number to help me understand, like, if the buy price is at or below that, I'm good. If it's above that, it's not going to work. Now, if I'm just close to it, that's where number three comes in. So what do we know? Well, right now, this max cost is calculated off this sale price. So if, say, for example, my product right now is $41, I'm buying it for, obviously, I know that's more than the max cost. So I'm going to be like, this might not be a good product to buy, but hold fire. What we do recognize, and we talked about it earlier on, is that the sale price is $67.83, which is that price right here. Now, so obviously our ROI is not good, but I realize I'm very close to the max cost price. So what can I do? Well, again, we talked about this earlier on. You can scroll down and you can have a quick look at the ranks and prices section. And what I like to look at is see this buy box. It's got it right here. I'll just turn over 90 and have a quick look to see what that is. Why? Because if I've seen that the sale price has been higher in the past and today could be an anomaly, a low, then I might be like, well, actually, I'm going to say that I'm going to try and sell it to the average price it has been. So this could be a good way to think about selling. And again, what you can do is just click on that number right there. And what will happen when you scroll back up, that will now set to that price, which is super useful. So again, by using the average price to sell against not the current market price today, can actually give you more of a consistent sales price, which is based on historicals, and a product which maybe wasn't going to be profitable in the past now becomes wildly profitable. Just be mindful of that. So one of the things that you want to understand is actually how to analyze how well a product sells. It's really easy to use a tool like this to understand profitability. Sales is really important. So I want to highlight some things where you should be looking at on SellerAmp right now to help you understand sales velocity and actually how that changes over time and what to look out for. So let's jump on. So I've got a product here right now, Lego Superheroes Shield Carrier, really expensive. And what you can notice straight away is obviously estimated sales 3 per month. So this is okay, like it does sell, but what do we want to look at? Well, understanding that 3 per month is useful, but we also want to understand another thing to look at. So let's scroll down to the keeper charts, and we're going to look them down here. And what we are looking at on here is this green line. So I'm going to turn it off and then turn it back on again. So you can see this green line right here. And what we're looking at now is every time this kind of drops down, it's kind of helping us to understand generally sales velocity, not necessarily one sale, but it gives you a good idea. So you can see this rarely kind of like drops down, it goes up a lot. And just that feature, that pattern, you're going to recognize as a slow selling product. So keep that in mind. Now, if I show you a faster selling product, let's have a quick look here. This is Lego again. I like my Lego products. And again, it's saying 50 sales per month. And what you recognize right here is it does actually say on the Amazon listing 50 sales per month. So if we scroll back down, again, we're going to look at the chart. And again, we're looking at this sales rank, this green line. And what you can see is it's kind of moving a lot faster. It does kind of go up and down, up and down. That's kind of a good indicator to get an idea of like this thing sells. But what we can also notice is the monthly sold. It gives you a good indication here of how well. So saying consistently 100 units. So that's really useful to get an idea of what's going on. Let me show you one more product and why this is important to know. So here we've got a Lego Advent calendar. Now, obviously, it's quite obvious this is going to be a seasonal product. It's not going to be selling all year round. You're going to know that this is seasonal, but you might not recognize some other products are seasonal. And so recognizing how to read the sales velocity using SellerAmp is going to be so important that you don't go and make bad purchases. For example, buying something like this during the summer. It's going to be a really bad idea. So let's have a quick look down. So again, it's got 800 sales per month, and you can see that's selling really well right here. But what are we specifically looking at? So when we come down, what we can recognize, number one, is this sales rank. Look at that, it's coming down, 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 down. The closer it gets to the bottom, generally the faster it's selling. Remember that. Second one, you can also look at this middle graph. Monthly sold is going from 100, 200, 500, 600, 700. That's really going up. So when you start seeing these changes, what do I recommend? Well, I'd always recommend showing out to 1 year. And what can you see right now just by looking at this? If we look at that green line, you can notice how in the green line, it was basically at the bottom. It was like sales rank 115, selling insanely fast, obviously around November, December last year. But then when we come into like the January period or February, that sales rank, that green line goes really up, meaning sales slow down. And then as we come back down towards Christmas now, obviously it's October right now, it's getting faster and faster. So coming back down to Christmas. And again, you can kind of see that same process here with monthly sold. You can see it started off at 3,000. It peaked up to 40,000 per month, which is crazy fast. And then it went back down to like 50 per month, which is nothing. And why is this important? Because you want to recognize these patterns when you're looking at the products. So I definitely recommend just having a quick flick to 1 year whenever you're looking at anything or you're seeing inconsistent sales or movement to just make sure that you're not buying a seasonal product. Now, if I give you a really good example of where a mistake could be made, for example, right here, this pool, 300 sales per month, scroll down, and you can see, looks pretty good. Maybe you might not recognize a pool is a seasonal product. And if we just go out to 1 year, you can see this does the inverse. So over summertime, as we'd expect, pools sell really well, 5,000 units per month. But then obviously during winter, it's selling down to 50. So making sure that you're holding or buying the stock at the right time on the rising of that sales rather than the decline is going to be really important to make sure that you're not buying a good deal at a bad time. Be mindful of that. Now, let's talk about buy box analysis in detail. And I want you to understand this because while previously I talked about changing the price or maybe choosing the 90-day average, now let's talk about how we compete against other sellers using SellerAmp. 2 examples I'm going to show you right now. So again, we come back to this Lego product that we've got right here. So again, we can see that we've got 6783, 6783, and we're going to be buying it here. Now, the one thing you want to be looking at when you're coming down to your analysis is the competition on this offers camp. And what you're going to see is obviously all the competition, how much stock they've got, and the price they're selling for. So why is this important? Because you want to understand what's going on in the market. Now, if we look at this market right now, what you'll recognize there is one guy at 6783. He's got 1 unit of stock. So once he sells out, the next FBA seller, which is generally who wins the buy box, is going to be at 71.90. So that's pretty much another $4 extra above the current market price. So the market price is 67.83. And then once this guy sells, it's going to be so much more expensive. So when I'm thinking about selling, what I might be thinking about is like, hey, I'm not actually going to sell it for this price, which is today's price. I think this is a better reflection. And remember, previously when we looked at these sales and ranks, we recognize that the buy box price average over the last 90 days is 75. So even this 71.90 is a historic low versus the historic norm. So this is really useful for when you're doing your analysis. So don't just take the price today, actually have a look at the other sellers and see what prices they're selling for. And again, you can quite simply just click on the price and what will happen, that will update the sale price right here. So really useful, great tool. Where does this process fall down and what do you need to be aware of? So let's again have a look at another example. So here we've got another Lego product. I love my Lego products today. And I'm not going to worry about the cost price, but the sale price is obviously the market price right now. And what we want to do is scroll down to the sellers. So what can we see? Well, when we're looking at those sellers, we can see the buy box owner right now is here, and that's Amazon. And generally, I don't like selling against Amazon. If there's Amazon on the listing, I generally won't buy that product. So I recommend you don't either. But what we can also see is that there are people selling it for like $499. Now you might come in and go, you know what, Tom, I don't want to sell it for $323. I want to sell it for $499. And that's great. You can sell it for whatever you like. It doesn't mean that anyone's going to buy it. And generally what we're looking at when we're looking at can we get a higher price for it is generally stock levels. So what do we look for? We look at these numbers right here. So what we're trying to say is if there's a lot of stock before us, then we might not get that sale in. So for example, right here, we've got this price, we've got Amazon at 20, and we've got this guy at 20 as well, and we've got a lot of ones, we've got this guy at 30, and then we've got these prices down here with that. So what I realized, if I want to sell it for 550, all these people above me have got to sell out first before I get to sell it for 550. Now that may happen, but a lot of the time you'll probably find it doesn't. So looking at this stock level is really important to understand how well that listing's selling, but also as well, like how many other people have got to sell before you can get the price you want. And if that isn't realistic, like probably isn't here, I don't think Amazon's going to sell out. I'm probably not going to get that higher price that I'm looking for. So I've got to be mindful of that. Now, just a quick insight here. You recognize you've got this plus icon right here, and these guys don't have the plus icon, whereas this guy does. He's got plus icon. Basically, what it's telling you is that this guy has at least 30 units of stock, if not more. While it says 30, he could have 3,000. We just don't know. But what we do understand is that Seller Amp's trying to tell us that we can't see all his stock. We can only see some of it. So just keep that in mind. Really, really important. And then again, Amazon is hiding how much they've stocked. They've got at least 20, probably a lot more. And we can guess Amazon's probably got thousands. So just keep that in mind. So again, when we're doing our analysis, don't just try and jump to the highest price about one set for that. Is the stock going to sell out? And again, you can use also as well the historical average by looking at either the pink line here or coming down to the 90-day average and looking at what has it historically gone for. So 350. So I think maybe going anywhere around these two prices is pretty good, but trying to get higher, probably unlikely, not going to happen. Not guaranteed, but just be aware of that. When we're coming up against many competitors on the listing, the question you might want to ask is how do we actually evaluate whether I should be selling on that listing, especially if there are big sellers, maybe not Amazon because I don't like selling against Amazon, but how do we understand whether I'm going to be able to share some of that buy box or perhaps maybe it's not going to be possible and I'm not going to get any sales. Let's show you how to do this right now. So again, coming back to our wonderful Lego product, and we already know about the offers count and we already know about the keeper chart and the historical, but what do we want to now look at? We want to look at this buy box analysis, and this is what I love because you can see right here, over the last 90 days, and we can change it to 30, and we can either over the last 30 days, Amazon has taken 90% of the buy box. That means if I want to come in and sell this product, I'm going to have a lot of competition against Amazon. They've been pretty historically against looking for that. And then number two, if I come 90 days, I can see other sellers have been in, Amazon's still winning it a lot. Now, the big point you want to know is also just looking down here. It tells you what their average price is. So again, we talked about it previously. I might be able to sell for a higher price, but if it's not the average price, I'm probably not going to be getting it. So just be mindful of that. Now, so here's an example of where you're really not going to get sales. But what does it look like if you want to get good sales? Let's come over to this Lego product. And we scroll down right now, again, coming through. Look at that buy box sharing. You can see so many different colors. This means lots of sellers are getting there. They're getting sales, which is great. And again, you can see all the different types of sellers down here at their average price. And again, they're all pretty similar, around about the $100 to $110, which is great. Now, another thing you really want to be looking at is if you are looking at a listing, just have a look at who the other sellers are. For example, when we come back to this Lego product, you can see these Lego sellers, you've got this guy's got 90,000 reviews, 800 reviews, 4,000, 2,000, 300. If you're a brand new seller with 10 reviews, you're not like any of them. So it's very unlikely you're going to get the buy box because they're just much bigger sellers by number of reviews. But if you're looking at a listing, for example, like this one, and you recognize that, hey, Horizontal Vault has got 15 reviews and he's won the buy box. Circle Bargain's got 49 reviews and he's won the buy box. Actually, there's quite a lot of sellers who look very similar to me, i.e. size, and they've won the buy box. So it's very likely that I'm going to be able to win that buy box too. So looking at that is really, really helpful to help you understand not only can you win the buy box, but are sellers like me, similar size by reviews, are they winning the buy box at what price? So it gives you a good idea of what you need to be to buy and sell that product for a profit and win the buy box to make sales. Now, what I will say is if you are enjoying this, make sure you give me a thumbs up. And hey, if you are looking to get one-to-one coaching to support your Amazon business or even join my community, we've got a free 7-day trial. Have a look in the description. There's links down below. I'll see if that's going to help you scale your business. Now, I did talk about how I do Google Sheet integration so you can save deals. So I'll go through that now. But then after that, I will go through how you can actually use SellerAmp to find profitable products, which is a really good technique that we use all the time. So when you're in actual SellerAmp, obviously you have the ability right here to save to Google Sheets. So how do we set this up? Now, what you want to do is just come down to the cog icon. And what you're going to do here is you've got a SaaS panel. So we're going to click on that. And then we're going to come down to Google Sheets. Let's click on configure. Now, what it's going to have is you've got connected here. So we're connected to one of our accounts, which I'll blur out. And so you want to connect to a Gmail account. So just make sure you connect somewhere. So save to the G Sheets. And then you can click new sheet or connect to existing sheet. Now, what you are looking for, and if I just click edit here, you can actually go in. Now, it looks like I've got a problem right here, so don't worry about that. But you can obviously give it a name, which is going to be the button when you click on it. So like Tom, for example, that'll be the name of it. So you can have like your name, or it could be like Q4 deals, or maybe like deals to watch, deals that you like. You can have loads of sheets. It doesn't matter. Now, the way we like to set it up, and again, what you got here is field mapping. So if you think about a Google Sheet, it's got the headers, and on those headers, when it exports, what data do you want to have on that sheet when it exports? So this is the way we have it. So we have export date, and you can see right here, you've got so many different options, which is like really crazy. So just be mindful. The one thing I will kind of add, if you want to know, is you can put formulas in there. So again, if you want to use a Google Sheet formula, you can put that in. That's super helpful. But we have export date, product name, ASIN, category, cost price, sale price, store URL. Then we have blank cells. Why? Because we like to fill that with other data from the sheet later on. So you can actually put blank rows or blank columns, which is very, very helpful. ROI, break even, sales rank, current prep fee, inbound shipping fee, because they're really useful to save to your profit analytics software, EAN barcode, Amazon URL, and we have lots of empty spaces, but we just like having them because they help us out with spacing it correctly. So we can, number one, not only see the deal, but once we see the deal, we can copy that row and put it into our buy sheet, which is in the right format, which is really helpful. So again, once you've done that, you can just click save, and you can also click write headers. So it'll write the header to your Google Sheet. How can you actually use SellerAmp to find profitable products? Well, there's a process called Storefront Stalking. This is basically whereby you look at competitors' storefronts or sellers and you see what products they're selling. Now, the way to use SellerAmp to do this is I like to do it is to find a product that you're already selling and have a look on the listing for people who are like you. Now, for example, this Lego product that we've reviewed earlier on, what I want to do is just scroll down, and what you can see is great listing sharing. So lots of sellers on it. And when we looked at the number of sellers, what we also noticed there were a lot of sellers who were very new. Now, say, for example, if I'm a new seller and I've got 15 reviews to my account, then I might be like, wow, look, Horizon Vault, he's very similar to me, review size, and he's selling a product that maybe I'm currently selling or I want to sell. So that's a good indication. He's the same size as me and he's selling similar products. So the question I might ask now is, what else is he selling that I'm not selling that I can try and find? So what can I do? I can just click on his name really simply. And what that's going to do is load up his storefront into SellerAmp, which is great. So again, you can see here. Now it will show you the brands that he's selling. So if he's selling some brands that I'm not selling, I might want to check them out. But also it will show me all the products, which is fantastic. And again, what can we do here? We can look at the keeper charts. Again, understanding those, we can see what the products are, and we got that same information. Now, what would I be looking at? So first of all, I'd always be looking at this chart, just trying to get an idea of what's going on with the price. You can see this one's going up. This one's going up again. And again, it's got Amazon listings. So I'm not really a big fan of those. But these two don't have Amazon. Really good. And then the second part I'm going to be looking at is that max cost. So you can see here, this is saying like 58 cents. So that's negative. So I can't buy that at negative 58 cents. Never going to happen. So I'll skip that one. But this one right here, no Amazon, and I need to buy it for $34.42, which is great, to sell it at the current market price, which is $58.90. So if I remember that 34, that's a great number. And then what I can do is just click on Google. So I just want to search Google quickly for that product, and can I buy it for $34? And if I can, that means I've now found a deal. So again, we can come through and have a look. Now, unfortunately, I am right now in Mexico, so obviously this isn't going to work, but I can do it on a different, when I load up my VPN. But the idea is you're going to be able to search for suppliers of this product to see, can you get it for that max price that we saw down here? And that's just going to help you out. So again, you can do this really, really quickly. Look at a competitor, load up their storefront, look at the ones where there's no Amazon, look at the max cost, click Google. Can I find that product? Yes. Found a deal. Next one, cool, found another deal. This is a really quick way of finding products. Super, super useful. Now, I did say to you, I'm going to share with you my step-by-step review process. So let's go through it right now. Now, I want to share with you with this product, again, this Lego product we've been showing you all the time. And I want to walk you through exactly what I'm looking at, why I'm looking at, in what order, and how it works. So let's go through now. Let's have a look at this product right now. So I'm going to say that I can buy this product for $50. So the first thing I'm going to look at before I even think about price, can I see any red? Now, obviously right now I can see no, we can't sell that. So that would immediately be like, no, we don't want to look at this. But let's just imagine right now that is green, so we can sell it. So then I'd continue. Now, this first question I'm going to look at is any other red? So no. And then I'm going to have a quick look at this max price. So again, remember, $50 is the price I can buy this for. And that's actually below that 64. So I'm pretty happy. Now, I generally won't put in the cost price yet because I don't need to. And what I do recognize is that I'm actually below that max price. So I know my ROI will be good, but I'm not too worried right yet. So what I generally do is have a quick scroll down, and I'm going to look at the competitors on the listing. So I can see straight away, number one, just looking at the competitors, there's not too many. And I might have a quick look at the competitors, but who are just FBA. And I can see right now, they've all got low numbers of stock. I like that because that means that a lot of people are going to sell and come and go, which is great. If there's one guy with an insane amount of stock, like a couple of hundred units, then that would be a big worry for me. But right now, like, looks pretty good. I can also just very visually, very quickly, just in my eye, look at this chart. And what I can recognize is that there is no orange. That means no Amazon has ever been on the listing in this period, which I really, really like. So again, I don't like selling versus Amazon. Now, the one thing I can also recognize is that price. So I can see, looking at this pink line, this is basically just told me that it's been a very stable price for a long period of time. And when I see that keeper chart always stable, I'm pretty happy as well. And the fact that we've got lots of different sellers on the listing, different stock levels, I'm really happy as well. Now, the final check that I will kind of do, I have a really quick skim, is just this blue line down the bottom. I'm looking for people to come into the listing, so I to go up, and then also to go down again. So I want to see up, down, up, down, up, down. If I'm just seeing 1, 2, or 3 sellers, that's a big red flag. But I'm seeing lots of sellers come and go. Why? Because I'm a seller. I want to come into this listing, sell my product, and I want to go, i.e. go find some other products without problems. So if I'm seeing other people doing that, that's really good. Now, what I do notice as well straight away is this product has got a really high number of sellers now. It's got 50 offers versus historically, but it has kind of come and gone. So I'm not too concerned. And I do recognize that all those sellers have very low stock. So that gives me confidence that it can kind of sell pretty quickly. And I'm not too, and the price is really stable. So I'm happy with that. Now, for me, that'll be my really quick analysis. I'm just like looking at max cost. I'm really going to be looking at the stock levels and who the sellers are and how much stock they've got. There's not too much there. That buy box price is very stable, and also as well the new offer cam. Now, if I'm seeing any red flags like there's too many sellers or one person's got too much stock, again, I might scroll down and have a quick look at buy box rotation. But most of the time I don't need to, because I can see that sellers are coming and going. And by being able to do that analysis really, really quickly could just help me understand should I buy this product or should I review it in more detail just by looking at those key data points really fast? And what you recognize is I haven't actually put the cost price in yet. I already know I'm going to be profitable here because I can see that max cost. So again, this process is just so much faster. And when you're analyzing so many deals time and time again, just by doing it that way, really, really simple, very great. Now, what I will say is we have covered everything you need to know about getting starting and analyzing the seller amp with this tutorial like a pro. Now, what you have learned here is going to help you not only find profitable products, but also analyze them quicker. But remember, analyzing those charts I talked about is the key to really unlocking great opportunities, and they're called keeper charts. And so that's why I want to share a video with you around here of how to analyze keeper charts that's going to help you to understand them in-depth detail like a pro that I've been doing for the last 8 years. So check that video out. Now, if you like this, make sure you give me a thumbs up and hey, hit the subscribe button in the link down below.